Hi, and welcome to Watch It Played. My name is Rodney Smith, and in this video, we're going to learn the 1 to 4 player expansion to Nature, Jurassic, designed by Dominic Krapuschetz and published by North Star Games Studio, who helped sponsor this video. There are several perks to being a prehistoric giant. If you can see it, you can take it. That said, there may be some things you can't see that hide in the cracks and crevices you can't reach, and they can thrive in their own way too. Jurassic is the second module for the game Nature, which this video assumes you already know how to play. If not, no worries, we have a tutorial video for that, which you can watch first, and I'll have it linked in the description below, along with any of the other modules we have videos for. The various modules give you new ways to play and experience nature, and you can mix and match them as you like. In this video, we're going to focus on the changes Jurassic adds to the core game, so join me at the table and let's learn how to play. To set up, follow all of the steps for the core game of Nature, but instead of using the regular nature-sized dials, you leave them in the box and set out these Jurassic-sized ones, which each have values that go from 2 to 10. Also set what is known as the Thagomizer die near the watering hole. Then shuffle the cards with this back, which make up the Jurassic deck, and place them face down next to the Nature deck. Finally, give one of these Jurassic module player aids to each of the players. And that's the setup. When using the Jurassic module, along with the new elements this adds to your game, which we'll go over in a moment, you'll now play 5 rounds instead of the usual 4. Also, because the new size dials go from 2 to 10, a new species starts at 2, but also notice each time a species size increases, the values go up by 2. So if you increase the size of this species again, it then goes to 6, and so on. If you would ever gain any extra size beyond the highest value on the dial, it is ignored as usual. When it's your turn to draw 5 cards during the round, you can take them in any combination from the available decks, Nature or Jurassic. And if you're playing with any of the other modules, some of them will come with other decks as well. This is the deck from the Flight module, so that means you could also collect from this combination of 3 different decks. I might take 2 Nature, 2 Jurassic, and 1 Flight card, or maybe all 5 from the Jurassic deck, and so on. That said, you have to make the decision about what combination of cards you want and draw them before looking at any of them. So if I wanted to take 2 Jurassic cards and 3 Nature cards, I'd draw all of them first, and then I'd be able to look at their faces. I should also mention each deck will have its own discard pile. And if a deck runs out while you're playing, you reshuffle its related discard pile into a new draw deck. You'll find these changes introduced by the Jurassic module listed on the included player aid if you need a reminder. The rest of the adjustments come from the various new traits you'll find in the Jurassic deck. These are assigned to species face down, just like Nature cards, to be revealed later in the round. At most, a species can have 3 traits, but they can be any combination of Jurassic and/or Nature cards. If you're also playing with one of the other modules, you might have other types of traits you can assign as well. But again, no more than 3 to any one species. So let's see how the new traits work. When a species has this elusive trait, it adds 1 to its defense value, as shown here, but also cannot be hunted by a species with a larger number on its dial. So although this species could normally hunt a species like this, it has a larger size on its dial, so it cannot hunt a species with the elusive trait. Moving on, this trait is unique as it shows the same symbols here that you also find on the hunter trait. This means that if you give this trait to a species, it turns it into a hunter if it isn't already one. So you'd flip its size dial over, and now it can no longer take the forage feeding action. And this means we now have more than one way for a species to become a hunter. And if that species already had the hunter trait, and then you add this one, nothing changes, as its dial would have already been flipped over. And although a species may only have, at most, 1 hunter card, it can have any number of traits with these symbols. That said, the apex predator trait has some additional effects. If its species is a size 8 or higher, it ignores defensive traits on its first hunt each round. Another way of putting this is that an apex predator temporarily ignores any traits a species might have when determining if it's a valid target for a hunt. So traits and defense values have no effect. Instead, you just look at the target's size. We saw earlier how being elusive means you cannot be hunted by a larger species. But if you're being hunted by a larger apex predator, that predator ignores all of your traits, so it's as if you are no longer elusive, and now the apex predator can hunt you. But remember, this ability only affects its first hunt each round. All right, here we have pack hunting. With this trait, a species has its hunt value increased by 1 for each population token it has. So in a case like this, its hunt value goes up by 3. And don't forget, you can have more than one copy of a trait. So if it had a second pack hunting trait, now each population token increases its hunt value by 2. Just be aware, unlike an apex predator trait, this one does not automatically turn its species into a hunter. That only happens when a trait shows the symbol that flips over its size dial. All right, next up we have the Thagomizer, which has an effect showing a symbol that represents this Thagomizer die. Its trait means that when it is the target of a hunt, it will kill population tokens from the hunter equal to the result rolled on this die. This has values from 0 to 7. So if this hunter targeted this species with a Thagomizer trait, then after the hunter gains any food tokens it is owed, the player with the Thagomizer trait would roll the die, and then the hunter would lose that number of population tokens from its hunting species. 5 in this case, which would cause this species to go extinct. If a species has 2 Thagomizer traits, you'd roll the die twice and add the values together, killing that total amount of the hunter's population. All right, now we come to the last trait included in this module called Clever Predator. You'll notice this also shows the symbols that turn a species into a hunter, so be sure to do this if that species isn't a hunter already when it gains this trait. Also, if a species with this trait hunts one with the horned trait from the core box and or the Thagomizer from this module, you reduce the amount of killed population tokens it suffers by 5. If the hunted species has multiple copies of horned and or Thagomizer, you add together the entire amount of population they would kill, and then you subtract 5 from that amount for each Clever Predator trait your hunter has. And remember, a species can have more than one trait with this icon, but at most only one hunter card. And that covers all the new traits you'll find in this module, which are also summarized on the other side of your player reference. If you're playing Jurassic with some of the other modules, you'll find information about how this module interacts with them at the back of the rulebook here. This Jurassic module also comes with components and rules for solo play, and depending on which printing of the game you have, you may also find a bonus trait to add into your game. But those elements I'll leave for you to discover on your own. Otherwise, that's everything you need to know to play the Jurassic module for nature. If you have any questions about anything you saw here, feel free to put them in the comments below, and I'll gladly answer them as soon as I get a chance. You'll also find forums for discussion, pictures, other videos, and lots more over on the games page at Board Game Geek, and I'll put a link to that in the description below. And if you found this video helpful, please consider giving it a like, subscribing, and clicking that little bell icon so you get notification anytime we post a new video. And if you'd like to support us directly, you can join our Patreon team, which I'll have linked below. But until next time, thanks for watching.